I am in the part of the Bible that, unless you are out of your mind, most people don't spend time really getting into. But I get into it because I love this book, and I love the mysteries within it, because it challenges my mind to think and to be engaged. Over my years, and I'm still young, I'm only 57 in November, and this is August of 2023. Over my years, I have had to find motivation to do things. Now, I know where you're at there in Kenya that there's plenty of motivation to do things. Um, and for my grandkids, living here in America, or if you're still in Japan, or my grandkids that may have gone to Nepal by now, um, you have to find motivation for this life's existence. And let me explain that to you so that you understand what I mean. This isn't about getting stuff, because you can get stuff and still be unfulfilled and have nothing. Some people would argue, well, wait a minute, hey, I'm going to tell, I'm going to, this may go off the rails for some of you. Some of you will get this. In college, they teach you economies of scale. In other words, you will buy something that produces cash flow but doesn't cover the debt. So you have to buy other assets that produce more cash flow to cover the previous debt. So you're constantly buying so that you can get into a place of appreciation where you can make better decisions. But your finances have to line up. In other words, whatever amount of debt you put on one asset or the other has to be able to get you over into that place where appreciation has come in and you can make decisions. See, finance and life is much larger than 2 plus 2. That's the reason why it's so important to multiply, not addition and subtract. You can find yourself with everything and have nothing in this world system. So you need to find your motivation for living this life. As I had your mom and I spent time with your fathers weren't necessarily, speaking of to my grandkids, of course, your fathers weren't necessarily my kids, but once I decided to be their example by having a relationship with their mom, they became my kids. I became their example. It is not something that you necessarily decide you're going to do. You are. I am. There is a responsibility for being I am in every situation. So you need to discover what your purpose is in being I am in whatever in whatever situation you're in. Why am I here? What am I here for? What is my purpose for being here? What am I to do? I share these ideas for you to discover and for you to research out of Exodus chapter 28 and the creation of the priest's clothing. And this is important. While Moses is being inspired by God with the other 73 persons that are there with him on the mount when they left the general congregation. I know some of you think he went up to see God by himself. It's just bad teaching. It's just bad teaching. Joshua was there with him. And they were getting instructions on how to create the temple, how to set up the 7-foot table, how to create a legacy for the line of Aaron, who were priests. A priest, by the way, who had sons. So what they're doing in the Catholic Church by having these priests go celibate is ridiculous, and it's causing irreparable harm throughout generations. For not only the priests, but for the membership, in particular the I am of male example. The reason why this is important is because we are priests. We are ambassadors. So it's not necessarily just about what you wear. It's about recognizing the legacy of God. Now, I'm going to try to keep this within 15 minutes. But I want you to understand and be aware of that this is not about just this is not just about a pursuit for stuff. This is a pursuit for character. Not being afraid of truth. By all means necessary. Now, so I'm going to point out just a few things. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to be in the Bible so much as I'll do this from my notes. In Exodus chapter 28, he's setting up the clothing of the high priest. And he's using particular colors. And when I say he, I'm talking about Moses being inspired by God, while Joshua, who, as we know, eventually ushers the people into Canaan, which is a type and shadow of being entered into the kingdom of heaven. Dealing with the Philistines being the 5 lords of the 5 senses. So this is all building kingdom within yourself. I want you to notice that Moses had Joshua with him. So don't try to do anything in life without having someone who not only believes in you, but wants to blaze a trail with you. This is all about relationships, not about your cars. At this point, your flying cars. This is not about your sky condos and houses. This is not about your intergalactic trips. This is not about your boats. We're coming out of a generation of people who have been after stuff. And they're still unhappy because they're committing suicides and they're getting divorces. Because the focus was never on building the kingdom of heaven. It was building a personal kingdom. So I'm sharing this with you so that you don't make that mistake. And I'm being very bold in how I say it because I don't want you to make that mistake. You find people of good character and you build with them. Then the building has purpose. In this case, they're building the kingdom of heaven. The priest Aaron, who eventually made some substantive mistakes, but God is showing Moses how to present yourself, or how the priests were to present themselves to the people who are following them. Because the priests were the judge, or the judges. God always wanted to judge his own people, but the people want to be judged by human beings. They want a king. But the four colors, gold, blue, purple, and scarlet, on linen, spoke of purity and royalty and how you present yourself. This speaks of character. This is not so that you can just look good, although you will look fly. But this is about presenting yourself and representing the one that sent you. I am the one that sent you. Not me, Paul Dozier. I am is the one that sent you. Me, Paul Dozier, is not in the picture. Because the goal is to get us back to a place of representing the kingdom of heaven. The breastplate is for judgment. The breastplate has stones. The stones represent the 12 families within the tribe of Israel. The reason why I wear this ring is it's my weak interpretation of the signet, which means that the person holding this ring, and there are a few people that hold this ring, I've accepted in the family. And we have tenets that we live by. Well, so to speak, everybody don't pay attention to them, by the way. But I'm working on it. I'm setting the standard. But so to speak, that's what this represents. The 12 stones setting gold ouches, which is, what the stone sits in. It's called an ouch. I don't have that type of ring on. This is for wax. But they represent the same thing, basically, at least the part that I understand which is when I put this ring in wax and I write a letter and I close it up and I put my signet ring in it, it means that it is coming from a particular place and you can be trusted. The stones of judgment are based in what we would now call the Pentateuch, or the 5 books of the Bible. In other words, that we all agree to be judged by the laws of God. And let me go back to the New Testament. And we all know that the law is perfect, and we are not perfect, and so Jesus came to save us. Yes, amen. I'm a born-again, spirit-filled, tongue-talking Christian, but these are the basics, number 1. Number 2 is it does not subvert the laws. This is the depth of the laws that still are relevant in grace, in mercy, because we like to receive grace, we like to receive mercy, but once you have taken on this standard, it is your job to give it. Grace, mercy, and also when you're walking with people who are with you, as is explained in the New Testament as well, I believe in the book of Timothy, that this law that is within us is good for reproof, to teach those who are interested in being a part of the family. So this isn't all about you. When you put on these clothes, it no longer becomes about you. It becomes about the maturing of the people with you. And I can go forever with this, and I'm not going to do it because there's so much I want to share with you. I love you, and I want you to prosper all of your days. But I want your prosperity to be rooted in excellent relationships with secure people who are not all about them, but they're all about having relationships with other people to usher in the kingdom of heaven. It is not all about transactions. There will be many people that come into your life, and as much as you would want them to be a part of your life, they don't want to be a part of your life unless they can get what they want. Let them go. And continue to usher in the kingdom of heaven. And allow those people who are drawn to you to come to you and be a resource to them, so that they may see who God is in your life and want to have God in their life. That's the purpose for me.